that Zidane's not always had that tactical nous to it, which, I mean, he's won pretty much everything, but generally he's just left it to his forwards and to score and play free, open football. But on this occasion, he definitely had a real game plan.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with his tactics tonight. I think he got it spot on. But then your team has to go out and carry it out, which they did very, very well. But to win the Champions League 2 years on the spin in 3 out of 4 years, you've got to have something about you. It can't just be about your players, especially players who've got big egos and are big superstars, because if you don't coach them right or give them the right organisation, they'll go and do what they want. So for me, I think you've got to give them that respect.
It's funny they've struggled so much in La Liga this season.
Yeah, and I think that probably was a natural downer from they can't keep doing so well. They won the Liga last year, they won the Champions League last 2 years, so I think naturally sometimes there's a dip in form. We saw that when they came to Wembley earlier in the season against Tottenham, but big players and big teams normally find the running at the right time, and they certainly look that way tonight.
Yeah, one man that always has an impact, Cristiano Ronaldo. That vital first goal, once again, Frank. Remarkable.
I mean, this is symptomatic of PSG to start slow on the ball, and we'll see it on the second goal as well, how Alves loses the ball, but brilliant stuff from Asensio here. He runs down the line, comes back inside, stays on the ball, and all of a sudden here, as we see, and he turns, there's a simple pass that he can play that we probably all thought he was going to play, but he plays the tough one. Vasquez, who was on the other wing all game, was brilliant. And then there's no doubt, the minute that ball is curved towards the back post and you see Cristiano Ronaldo there, you know what's happening.
Just look at his movements. I mean, he never stands still in the box. He actually moves 10 yards outside the box, and then he makes that sharp darting run, and it's impossible to pick him up and mark him. And he gets so much height and power in the header, he's unstoppable.
He's like Bob Latchford there.
He's as good a header as a ball as you'll ever see.
I need to Google him just to find out what
I know who Bob Latchford is.
But I mean, his goal scoring record in this Champions League, like, he's scored in every game in the Champions League up to today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal, and breaking records constantly the way he is, and he still has a desire to achieve more, break more records and do more.
You could see even at the end of the game when it was all over and done and somebody didn't cross the ball, you could see his frustration still.
Every attack he gets a cob on with his teammates because he's so hungry for goals and to break records. He's just a serial winner.
Incredible. I mean, Cristiano, Rio said before the game, Cristiano will get his goal. Not many players you can actually commit before a game, and you know the big occasion, the man's going to score.
He delivers, that's for sure. Once that goal went in, we thought it was going to be difficult for PSG. Then it became more difficult with Verratti getting 2 yellow cards, which obviously equals a red.
I think it's very stupid and immature for someone of his experience. I mean, I've been there myself and made these kind of mistakes, so. You know, I shouldn't really be criticising him too much, but he'll know after the game. He's let his teammates down, he's at the fans game. In big games you need discipline, Gary, because if you lose a big player in a game of this magnitude, you know, Real Madrid they'll walk all over you in the end.
I think what you're saying, Stephen, you might have been sent off before on a tackle, which is understandable, but a reaction on that is a different thing. A tackle, I kind of get you lose your head or you're late on the tackle.
Or miss time one.
Miss time. Then here he goes, eventually they get back to 1-1 shortly after this, and if he's on the pitch then they have a better chance, and he still steps in there, so immature is probably the right word.
I think the biggest problem for this PSG team, we saw it last year, game management. They never knew how to see out a game against Barcelona, and today, the way they approached this game today was completely the wrong way. You have to come out of the blocks firing.
Do you think they suffer from the fact that they're playing in a league that's nowhere near as competitive, say La Liga or the Bundesliga possibly, or certainly the Premier League?
Maybe, yeah. That's
maybe. They play week in, week out. They're winning comfortably. They're miles ahead in the league.
Yeah, and then you've got to turn the switch up again, like against the teams like Real Madrid, and that could be a problem for them. But listen, they're all top-level players, and I think Neymar doesn't seem to suffer from it, because you see him in the Champions League and he's still the same player that we see week in, week out.
Massive miss, of course.
And he was a huge miss today, because the likes of Di Maria that came in, Pastore came on a sub, was an awful performance, and the intensity, and I think that was the key for them today. There was no intensity in this team. When you're losing a game, in the second leg comes out at home with the crowd behind you, you've got to give them something to shout about. You've got to push the team over the line. They didn't do that at all.
They almost played like they were 2-0 up rather than...
Yeah, and they can do that most
3-1 up rather than 3-1 down.
As you said, domestically they can get away with that. You know, they can just possession teams to death, and it can be casual, and they can almost beat teams in second and third gear. But when Real Madrid come to town, you need to create and provide something special for your supporters, and they underachieved tonight.
Yeah, Cavani got the goal. It wasn't, obviously, didn't make the difference in the end, but let's have a look at that.
A messy goal. They didn't create much all night, really. Cavani, I think, yet to probably score important goals on the biggest of stages. Scores very regularly in the league and in Champions League, but in these big games, this one he doesn't know much about.
It's a bit like Ronaldo's in the first game, although Ronaldo did probably gesture a bit more. That just actually hit him.
I think that was an accident. As I say, the game was done by then, unfortunately.
Rio, tonight you were very impressed by Casemiro. I know he scored his goal as an element of good fortune with that, but his overall performance as a holding player was excellent.
Yeah, I thought his all-round game was fantastic today. He helped his centre-halves, played in front of them, shielded the balls into the strikers. When need be, dropped into the box and made great tackles, interceptions. And what I like,
rolled around a bit as well.
Rolled around a bit, but I think today, if you play 4-4-2, old rigid formation, your two centre midfielders have to be able to cover ground and have the intensity to get around the park and cover big areas. And him and Kovacic's done that today, no end. I mean, he was fantastic today.
This goal, in terms of Real Madrid, this is all about their desire compared to Paris Saint-Germain. Again, slow on the ball and you lose it, and then just look at the reactions here. If you look at, it's quite embarrassing actually for the PSG. Pastore there, Rio mentioned, he's just come on sub, he's fresh. Vasquez has been on running the whole game. He sprints past him, and then you get what seemed like a scrappy goal, but it shows you the difference in intentions from both teams throughout the game.
That was indicative of the PSG team today. The intensity, the way they played. They never grasped the occasion, but these games come, and the worst thing is if you can look in the mirror after a game and feel that game's passed me by. That's the worst feeling. They'll all be feeling like that.
I don't think they went out like a big team. I don't think a big team goes out with some tackles or a bit of it might not look great on the eye, but you have a right goal. I think they threw the towel in the second half there at 2-1, but 1-1.
So let's get some reaction back at the Parc des Princes. We can hear from Mateo Kovacic. He's with Reshmin. It's his third season there, and he's hardly played, but he came in like you'd think he'd played 100 games for them.
Yeah, and like he said there, the history of this club in this tournament is phenomenal, and the players come alive. He feels it straight away. He's come in automatically. You walk through the doors at Real Madrid, and it seems that these guys, you have to buy into that history, and they do it so well. And they come in. He's replacing two of the best midfielders in the world, but does it seamlessly. It's great to have that in the squad.
It's interesting with Real Madrid. At the start of this season, obviously the group campaign, they were struggling. Everyone was going Manchester City, PSG. They're the big favourites. They're the teams to beat. Cometh the knockout stage, things change a little bit.
Yeah. It seems to me like the bigger the challenge, the better Real Madrid are. They almost get the juices flowing, the bigger the game and the bigger the challenge. They go to France today, the atmosphere is electric. They don't panic, they just play with a swagger and a confidence and with that experience. And you wouldn't want to meet them in the next round, in the last day. You definitely don't want them.
And they were excellent defensively tonight as well, weren't they? Very organised, right from the start.
Sometimes you can't win a game in a beautiful way, and the great teams find a way to win games, and I think a lot of it today was in their discipline and work rate. Talking about Casemiro there, we thought was fantastic throughout the game, defending the right areas, heading balls away, showing an aggression that, as I say, we don't always think about. And this is the press, which is probably the most impressive part of their defence today. It's not just the man near the ball we can see pressing, it's the backup of the next man going with him. And in the end, it gets you the ball back because you're organised, you're a team, you've got the energy and the desire to win it back.
And this is what you expect the home team to be doing, the team that are losing. This is what you expect them to be like, pressing, making it uncomfortable for Real Madrid. Never once in this game did you feel that Real Madrid were uncomfortable. Look at that pressing. That's a team that are actually winning this tie 4-2 at the time, I think. They look like the team who were behind chasing the game.
That's hunger, isn't it? And that comes with the best teams and the best individuals in sport. It doesn't matter how much they've won. They're just relentless in that hunger and that determination to succeed, and that's what Real Madrid have got.
It didn't really happen for any of the PSG players this evening. Di Maria came in, of course, in place of Neymar, but he certainly couldn't fill his boots.
Unfortunately for Di Maria, one of the biggest names in world football to replace, but sometimes at this level you need big shoulders. He's got a big price tag on himself, misplaced passes, moments where we've seen Neymar many a time front people up, beat people in the box, create something out of nothing. We know Di Maria's not that player, but time and time again today, he didn't reach that level. And as I say, big shoulders, big games. Can you come on and produce, help us win this game? Then he fell short today.
I think PSG as a team lacked quality in the final third. I think the decision making was poor. I think Mbappe at times went for the headlines. And tonight they never played as a team. I thought they played very individual, especially in the final third.
Neymar not playing today was so evident in the way that they play, how much they rely on him. what he brings to this team, being unpredictable, that final ball in the final third, that quality, extra bit of special play that he's got. They missed that crazily, and I think Mbappe was probably the person who missed him most.
Yeah, it's a big ask for a 19-year-old to be the star man in a game like this. I mean, he's obviously got bags of talent, but he's still got lots to learn.
And today was probably the first day, we mentioned it off screen, the first day that I thought he looked like a teenager.
Yeah, I thought in the first leg as well, I thought he struggled, particularly in the second half.
And that's testament to the way he's been playing over the last year or 18 months. He's been fantastic, and you still thought that if they could get the ball to him in good areas, he still had that talent. And in the second half, he was a bit more aggressive with the way he played. But here again, in a Monaco shirt, in a PSG shirt before that, you would have thought he'd have picked out the right man. But today just wasn't his day.
I think every big player, and he's going to this fella's going to be a big player no matter what. You have a game in your career early on where you realise what the level is, and I think today he realised what the level is. He's not facing that level week in, week out in the French league. Today he's facing top defenders who didn't want to give him a yard, defend the right spaces, and he came up short. But he'll be back because he's going to be a superstar, no doubt.
Bags of pace, that's for sure. He's electrically sharp, isn't he?
He'll have his time. He's too good of a player not to. He's going to have special nights in this competition and will go on to win it.
I love him.
I know you do.
I do love him, but like Frank said, there are games in your career. I played in Brazil in the World Cup, and Ronaldo, the Brazilian, was playing, and Rivaldo, and I came off that pitch thinking, I am way off. I've got to go back to the drawing board, and he ain't going to be saying he's way off, but he'll know that there's work to be done, which is great. It's a great.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing for him, is he? Because you don't want to get ahead of yourself at an early age as well. Where did PSG go from here? It's like it's almost as the season's over. I mean, they're going to win stuff domestically once a game, but there's massive disappointment and expectancy.